Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? So glad you're here. Today we're going to be looking at making a chocolate cream pie. So we're going to be making this pie completely from scratch. So we're not going to use any instant pudding mixes, any box mixes. It's a complete homemade old-fashioned chocolate custard. Now in this video, we're gonna get right into how to make the custard filling. I actually have already prepared my bottom pie crust. This is homemade. I did make a tutorial on this last week, so if you wanna check that out, then look at the description box below this video and you'll see the link to that. This is kind of a step-by-step process, so this video is part 2 of how to make a custard pie. So check out that part 1 first, and let's get into making that custard. All right, so we'll need to separate 4 eggs before we get started on the custard part. So you want to put your yolks in one bowl and the whites in the other bowl. And so I'm going to demonstrate this just in case there's anybody out there who doesn't know how to separate eggs. You're going to crack your egg open and just let the white part fall down into the bowl here. And keep your yellow part in the shell. Just let the white seep out. It likes to run out. Just be careful not to puncture the yolk at all, because then you'll have just a big mess and you'll have to start over. All right, kind of transfer it back and forth, making sure all the white part's out, and then that is good to go. So I'm going to put my yolk in here. So here are my egg whites and my 4 egg yolks. This is what we're going to use in the pie. Save the egg whites, don't dump them out, because if you want to do a meringue on your pie, then you can use these later. Or you can use them maybe in an egg white omelet later, so don't waste your ingredients if you can help it. We won't use this today, but we'll be using the 4 egg yolks. All right, so for this recipe, the equipment you'll need is just a large or medium-sized pot, a whisk, and then some kind of sieve or strainer that we're going to use for our cocoa powder. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my burner on to medium-high heat. Alright, and first you'll need 3 cups of milk. I really like to use whole milk for this just because it gives more body to the pie. You can use a leaner milk if you like, but whole milk is my favorite. We're going to get this milk warm here. If you want this process to go a little bit faster, you can start with room temperature milk and that will heat up better for you. To our cold milk, we're going to add a 1/3 cup of cornstarch. Now cornstarch can be a little bit tricky because when you first start to mix it up, it'll feel like it has clumps in it. So just keep mixing and mixing until those clumps release. And everything is well incorporated. We're also going to add a cup of sugar. Just whisk each of these ingredients in after you add them. We need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Salt is so crucial to any chocolate recipe because it really brings out the flavor of the cocoa. So we've got our milk, our salt, our cornstarch, and our sugar in here. So this is the part of the recipe where we're going to need our sieve. And so I've got 1/2 cup of cocoa powder here. And we're just going to start filtering it through our fine mesh strainer here, just because cocoa powder tends to lump just a little bit. So we want it to be nice and lovely and smooth for our pie. So we're just gonna keep sifting this cocoa powder in. Every now and then you want to give it a stir. Make sure that milk is not scalding on the bottom here. Almost done. Any little crumbs in the bottom of your sieve, you can kind of break out with your finger there. And finish up. We got it all through. Yay! The cocoa powder is going to be just a little bit difficult to mix in with the milk. Just keep whisking it and whisking it. It'll kind of sit on the top of your pot there for a few minutes. Oh, it smells so good. I love chocolate. All right, so it's very frothy on the top just because I've whisked it, so that's not boiling yet, but we'll need to bring this mixture to a gentle boil and cook it until it's thick, like a pudding. So you want to keep just gently stirring it every few seconds, and you want to watch this very, very closely because it's very easy to burn. All right, so here's my pudding mixture, and as you can see, it started to thicken, and if I leave it alone here, you could see where it's actually boiling. So you want to keep scraping the bottom, making sure nothing's sticking in the bottom at all. This, I would say, took about 5 minutes to thicken to this point, and in case you're wondering, it's the cornstarch in here that's helping it thicken. And once it's thick, like this, as you can see, like a hot pudding or custard, then you'll want to stir it for about 2 more minutes. Let it cook for about 2 more minutes like this before we go to the next step. All right, so here's my hot pudding mixture straight off the stove, and you want to do this quickly while it's still hot, but I just wanted to explain, we're going to what's called temper our eggs. So we're kind of gradually bringing them up to temperature and then putting them back in here. You don't want to just add your egg yolks directly because then they will cook too fast and cause lumps in your pudding. So we're just going to pour about half of this hot pudding mixture in with the eggs and just mix them up. We're tempering these, bringing them to the right temperature, making them hot. Okay, and then we're going to add this back in here, and then we'll cook it on the stove for about 2 more minutes, just making sure that we don't have raw eggs, making sure those eggs are cooked. So transfer this back in here, and 2 more minutes on the stove at medium-high heat. So here we have our pudding mixture after the eggs have been cooked in. It is a lovely, smooth, rich chocolate. I am so excited about it. So the last step is you'll want to take 3 tablespoons of butter and add that in. And this is just going to help everything have really rich, smooth texture. So we're going to let that melt in here in just a second, but we'll also need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I know that may sound weird to put vanilla in something that's chocolate, but I'm telling you, every single chocolate recipe you'll find has vanilla in it. It just helps bring out the chocolate flavor. That and salt. Vanilla and salt really help bring out chocolate. All right, so that butter really helps smooth things up so that it wasn't clumpy. But the great part is when we chill this pie, that butter will kind of solidify and help stabilize this pudding so that it's not running all over the place. All right, that is all melted in, so we're going to pour this into our pie shell. Here we are.
All right, so here we are, our finished product. So I actually tasted a little bit off the spoon and it was amazing. So good. You won't find that kind of taste in a box mix at all. So what you're gonna need to do is take a piece of saran wrap and cover this pie just so it won't form a film on top and getting dried out in the fridge. You wanna keep everything nice and moist. And then we're gonna chill this pie for a total of 5 hours before you slice into it. I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial on how to make homemade chocolate pie. It really is one of our favorites. I want you guys to stay tuned next week because I'm going to show you some different options as far as what you can do on the top of your pie. So obviously today we just had demonstrated just canned whipped cream, just kind of sprayed on top, and you can do that. That's totally fine, no shame. But if you're wanting to go above and beyond and really give that extra wow factor, especially for a homemade pie that you're giving to somebody, then stay tuned next week. I'm going to show you guys how to make homemade whipped cream, and I'm going to show you how to make homemade meringue for your pie, as well as some garnish options. So stay tuned for that. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely appreciate it if you did that. And in the comment section below, I'd love to see pictures of what you guys come up with. I'd love to see what you're doing with your pie baking. And if you have any questions, as always, make sure to pop those below, and I'll see if I can get those answered for you. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye.